studio. Here we are again. It's so nice to have you with me. Thank you so much. I had a load of comments last week and it was absolutely lovely to have your feedback. It's just brilliant. It makes it all kind of worthwhile when I know I'm connecting with real people, and you know, questions and comments are always welcome, so please, you know, join in the fun. It's really great to have you here, and I really appreciate you all. Even if you don't comment, you don't have to. It's not obligatory, but it is nice to hear, because I feel like that's it's like being in a little community and sharing ideas. So today, obviously last week I finished off my lovely seed heads and I was really delighted with that. I was pleased. What I'm going to do is, I've got this board, I think I mentioned this, I'm going to glue it onto here, and that's going to frame it up for me nicely. I felt as though it didn't want to be behind glass. I put very few of my textiles behind glass because I actually don't like it. I feel as though even if you use non-reflective glass, you're still kind of, you're stepping back from the actual textile, and I think the whole point of textiles is they are very tactile. And I'm not suggesting people go around and touch all your work, but you know, you could even just be hanging that on the wall as it is. You know, you could put a little hanger on it, you could hang it on a piece of wood. It might need a little bit of backing on it, and sometimes I make a little slot that I sew on the back, and then I'll put a piece of wood into that slot and put a hook on it. Often used as curtain rings or something like that. So, you know, it doesn't have to be in a posh expensive frame. You know, just make do with what you've got around the house. And I think definitely textiles need to be seen, you know, close up, really. So anyway, today I've got a very tiny little box of scraps here. This is the colours that I'm working with today. And I'm very excited about it because it's, you know, the start of a new project, and we'll see where it takes us. I always start off and I never quite know where I'm going, because I quite like the journey of where I get to. It means you've got to make a few choices as you go along, but that's, you know, a pleasure, isn't it, when it's fabrics and stitch and colour and what textures you want to be using. So today, instead of using wool fabrics, I'm going to be using these sort of softer fabrics. There's lots of lining fabrics, organzas, a little bit of lacy stuff, and again, it's the autumn colours, because I have to say autumn is here and it's really lovely. I'm very much appreciating it. We're on the slow slide to winter, I know, but you know, in the meantime the weather's been quite nice. We've had some rain, we've had some sun, and the hedgerows are looking beautiful with berries and seed heads. So you can't help but be inspired and feel, there's like an autumn feeling inside me. It's like appreciating the seasons. It's a very pleasant thing to do, I think. And it's being in the now. It's being in the now. Now it's autumn. Let's enjoy it. So obviously it's might be spring where you are. So today I've got another little tasty box of fabrics here. This is just some offcuts that I've chosen the colours, and I'll get a big box out and match it all up in a moment. Today I thought we'd look at embellishing again. It's a little while since I've had my embellisher out. I know a lot of people have gone out and bought embellishers, which is very exciting, and I hope you're enjoying using them. And I just felt like, yes, a bit of embellishing wouldn't go amiss. So different fabrics. These are soft, flexible fabrics, soft organzas, so quite floppy and easy to embellish, basically. And I'm going to use some curtain interlining fabric, which is this sort of stuff. It's a bit like warm and natural or something. If you're using quilting, you could use your quilting interlining. This is cotton curtain interlining, and it's cheap as chips. It's nice and fluffy and soft, and that's what I'm going to use as my base. And we're just going to see where the journey takes me. It's great to have you with me on this journey, and we're just going to see where it goes. So we'll get the fabrics out and get on with it. Okay, so here's my background fabric, and here's my little pile of strips that I've cut out. And I'm going to start, I think, with, I really want something quite dark at the bottom, so I think we're going to go with this lovely chocolatey coloured fabric. As I say, honestly, I could just eat that. It's just, I feel as though it's just something that's edible, waiting to be eaten. So I'm going to start with that right at the bottom here. Now you'll see I've cut them much wider than the piece of my background fabric. This is because I don't know exactly how much they're going to crinkle up. Obviously you could do yourself a little sample and then that would give you an idea. So you could cut yourself a little piece of backing and put little pieces on and see how much it crinkles, or you can just play with it and see, you know, how it works as you go along. So I'm going to leave plenty sticking over the edges. I don't worry about scraps that are left over because there's always a use for my scraps. Anybody who's been watching for a while, you'll know that I don't waste anything, that everything sort of what goes around comes around and nothing much is thrown out. Because when you've got an embellishing machine particularly, you can turn your scraps into all sorts of magic things, which I just love. So I think what I want down here is something with a bit of, possibly a bit of shine to it as well to go with this. So this is a coppery sort of colour. And I'm going to put this on as well because I'm going to see what happens to that when we embellish it as well. And I might put a bit of this. I've got this very fine, this is a rather fine dark. I don't know if you can see the colour coming through from underneath. So that might go somewhere like that. Often what happens is I put the pieces on and I embellish them, and then gaps might appear. As you embellish things and they kind of scrunch up, you may well find you get gaps. And I'm just really playing around to see roughly what colours are going to go where. So I might put this bit up here. That might be a bit wide, but I'm leaving it again. I'm making sure it goes over the edge in case it gets pulled in. And at this stage, I'm literally just playing with the fabrics to see what colours might go together. Now I quite like that, but it's very vibrant, that it's very bright, so it might or might not need knocking back a little bit with some of that, but I could perhaps put the two of them overlaying each other a little bit maybe. And I've got this nice lighter brown colour as well, which I might put sort of, where would that like to go? Maybe about there, mid. I may cut some of these slices into thinner slices, I haven't quite decided. I think I might cut this one up a bit thinner than the orangey one, and I'd really quite like to get, I've got this gorgeous sort of yellowy colour here as well, which is this is really quite a yellowy colour, and I thought I really want something to lift against these browns. So again, I think I'll just cut that a little bit thinner. Here we go. It's very much just fiddling about, playing, faffing. Nothing's written in stone. The answer will come as I play. That's always my way, I find. I don't have to have the absolute answer at the beginning, although that would be nice, I guess. Yeah, so maybe a bit of that with a bit of that. That's got a rather sharp edge. I'm just going to, I think it's where it's been on the fold, so I'm just going to make that a bit wobblier with my wonderful cutting out. So I don't really worry too much with my cutting out because the embellisher will do things to it that I don't know exactly what it's going to do to them yet. There you go, that's better. So that might go on top of there. So, but there might be a bit of that orange coming through, and I don't mind if the tone comes through from the base of that as well. And the other thing I thought I would like is, if you just bear with a moment. Okay, so I haven't got a lot of this left now. I used it, those of you who watched my making Miss Mildred, my dummy, finishing off her rusty coloured bodice, I used this for my buttons on the bodice, and it's a really nice lacy fabric, and on one side it's quite sort of shiny because it's got these little sort of circular bits, and then on the other side, I'll just get rid of the I don't know if you can see that, because it's kind of, I'll have to show you on a bigger bit I think. There we go, I've cut a piece out now. There are two sides to everything, aren't there? So it's got these sort of raised little circular bits here, but if you turn it over, I like the way they kind of dip down, so it gets a different effect, and it's not quite so shiny, so that will give a little bit of texture to that sort of area. And I might put a bit of this nice orangey tone in across there, and then the thing to do is to get your, so I'm just tangled up with some fabrics here. Oh, come on you, get out of the way. The thing is to get yourself your frame. And it doesn't matter whether you're going to actually use this as the final frame or not. It doesn't matter whether it's actually going to be this size or not. But this is a useful, like, viewfinder really, so you can start to look through and see, you know, which bits you like, which bits appeal to you more than others. You know, it might be that I'll cut some of these up a little bit and mingle them a little bit more, or we'll just see what happens when I embellish it. As I say, when I embellish it, these I think will get pulled in a little bit more. So, but this is helpful. I find this is very helpful to do that. So now, the other trick is to get your camera and take a photograph of this. Use your phone or your camera, whatever you've got, and then you can take a picture of the layout of this, which will help you to remember. I work in a couple of ways. Sometimes I make a little sample, and sometimes I just photograph it, because when you get to this final layout, you think, oh, that's wonderful, and you could come back to it and rearrange it all, and you'd still think it was wonderful. And because I'm using the embellishing machine, I want to take off the strips that I've got down and work from one end to the other, because that will allow me to see how much the fabrics are going to gather up and how many gaps I'm going to have. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my camera and I'm going to take a photograph of this. The other thing I like about photographing things is that you get a really nice it's a really nice way to frame things. I'm going to do it that way. And I'll take a bit of the white background in as well, because oh, you can't see that, can you? Let's turn that off. There you are. So you can see it's quite nice, because it's quite a good way of sort of framing something up, and you can step back from it and look and say, oh, I quite like that there, or would I move that one to there? It's quite a useful thing to photograph your work as you go along. Anyway, right, let's get on to the embellishing, because that's the fun bit, the next fun bit, I should say. So I'm just going to take these off. What you can do, of course, is you could line them all up. You could pile them all up in the exact order that you're going to use them, but I haven't. I'm going to wing it.
Ba 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 ba.